it going? How's it going? My troops, how's it going? My dear subscribers, my wee bobbugs. How's it going? How's it going? What you after? What you up to today? What you been up to today? Sorry, I forgot to ask you. I'm pure crazy, I know. I'm pure crazy. Mental was Glasgow, I know. But forgive me, troops, forgive me. Sorry, forgive me. So, here I am with you. Glasgow Genuinely, and Glasgow Dafty, and Celtic Dafty. Hello. Sorry. Hi, and how's it going, troops? Alright. So, what you been up to today? Because my days are, my days been good. It's pure dark. It's pitch dark just now. I don't know how's in Glasgow, but I mean, it's pure dark today. So that I just fucking hate that period, and you have to sit at home, and you have to, and you're so sleepy. It's pure dark outside. Tell me what you're doing. If it's a pitch dark around 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. What's your medicine? I mean, cure for for being sleepy. So tell me about it, troops. Tell me, my dear subscribers. So I'll be grateful. I'd love to tell you that there's no Celtic match today. There wasn't any Celtic match during this week. Pure sad, Emma, because there's no Celtic. There wasn't a Celtic match, so I was pure sad, man. Pure sad. Nothing to watch, really. Nothing to watch, because I'd love to comment something for you, as usual, the Celtic matches, and come up with some commentary, my views and that, woo, Glasgow Celtic, woo, but I can't wait for that match. It'll be, I suppose, on a Saturday, 23rd of November, so fingers crossed for Celtic, troops. I have to tell you that, I have that, days that I'm so knackered, and I'm, I have to get a cap. But it doesn't matter at all. I'm pure ready just now. I'm pure happy, because guess what happened? I booked my trip to Glasgow. Again. I see my Glasgow again during New Year's Eve. So I'll be in Glasgow on the 30th of December. So, it will be pure dead brilliant. Woo! Sorry, I'm mental and crazy. My traffic kunde. Alright. I want to tell you, I want to talk about that issue. It's a Celtic thing, It's a Celtic thing. My dear Celtic fellow fans and my dear subscribers. Why? I want to answer a question. Why media hate Celtic that much? There's only one question. There's only one answer for it. There's only one answer to it, Why media hate Celtic that much? Because it's, why they hate them that much? It's something connected with sectarianism. I mentioned to you once what sectarianism is. That you hate someone or somebody who's different faith, different religion, who has different views. As you know, in Glasgow once were just Protestants, and the people from Northern Ireland, and Ireland came, for a job, because Ireland was a great poverty and deprivation, and war, most of all poverty. So they came to Glasgow to work, to improve their lives. You can't blame them for that. That the Irish just came to Glasgow for work and just they settled down there. You can't just blame them. You can't blame that they're Catholic, or if they are Protestants, or if they are another faith. You can't blame them. It's racism, troops. You can't blame someone who's is a Catholic. You can't blame that's because he is Catholic, or because he has a different views, different points on that matter. on that issue. You can't just, do that. You can't offend them. But these kind of media, use that sectarianism to make Celtic we mad. They do that on purpose. That's because I think kind of media, they are, favourable, Rangers. That's how the most arrogant and ignorant people I've ever met, Rangers fans. And the media Rangers favourable. People think, that people, fans, I've seen the parades in Glasgow, how Celtic fans behaved and they acted, or the Rangers fans. A total difference, man. Celtic is a club like no other one. It's a club with the great roots. It's a club for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from. If you're a Catholic, if you're a Protestant, if you're someone else. That doesn't matter. That's law for. I'm going to mention it hundreds of times that the club, it's only love for Celtic is enough to be a Celtic fan, to love to be that, to be. You have to believe me that it's a great Celtic family. You feel pure brilliant in this great Celtic family, because that's something you should experience with troops now. But one media hates Celtic, as I mentioned, sectarianism, and that's because Celtic and Celtic fans has the most of them have the Irish roots. They are Irish, or they're something we connected with Irish republicanism. That's how media hates Celtic. But I don't get it, Trips. I don't get it. How can you offend someone's faith, someone's views, just because he has a different views than yours? I don't get it. That's how media treat Celtic, my dear Celtic Football Club and Celtic fans, as fucking nothing, as zero, as people for the social scheme margin. I don't get this media trips. So there's great sectarianism. So let's try not to, don't let this media, bring you down. Don't let this media, offend Celtic. And better, what you can do, troops, is don't listen to this fucking media, alright? It's me, Glasgow Genuine, saying you that, and the Celtic supporter with all my heart, So, as you know, Glasgow is divided, as I mentioned once. Glasgow is divided into Irish and Scottish people, and the almost 0.5% of population in Glasgow is Irish. So some of them are Catholic, some of them are Protestants, have different views, different opinions, different faiths, different religion, everything troops. You have to, you have to be grateful. You have to be grateful that having such people as Celtic fans, you have to be grateful, because they are the fucking greatest fans on earth, troops. On earth. I wanted to mention that, the can you remember that Remembrance Day? Remembrance Day. I was at the something like British Military Day, Remembrance Day. I don't know when you have to put your poppy here. So media offended Celtic and Celtic fans. Celtic, because they didn't put the red pop on their t-shirts or something. Doesn't matter. And they fucking offended Celtic fans that just because they sang something like an Irish song, Irish song, I suppose. So, and then they were singing during that minute of silence, and it's just because of that. Just because of that, troops. I have to tell you something that year after year, as November comes, rolls around, it's this predictable wave of the scrutiny aimed at clubs, fans, and the fans' remembrance observances. So the incident is just the latest chapter in the complex, contentious, and then our issue with our Remembrance tradition. So that's something that doesn't always resonate with our backgrounds and values around the Celtic community. So Celtic remains one of the few clubs. Celtic is the greatest one, troops, but it doesn't display the poppy on its shirts and the stands. That's both praised and then criticised, So this position reflects not just the club's identity, but also that its supporters' diverse backgrounds. Because Celtic fans are, many of Celtic fans have roots in Ireland, and they are so that's understandable. That they feel queasy about honouring the British military in the same manner as the rest of the country. I can't understand that, Trips, because why? It's something I don't get it. Do you have to celebrate that British military Remembrance Day? If you're Irish or if you're a Celtic fan, you have different views. You have different feelings about it. You don't feel, associated with them. No, but you have to. You're forced to, celebrate it with them. You're forced to just, honour the soldiers that Remembrance Day. You have to honour them in minutes of silence. You have to be silent for 1 hour. Sorry, 1 hour, 1 minute. Sorry, I'm mental. But some of the people don't get it. They just mix, politics with football. They mix politics into football. It's something maybe the Celtic fans don't disagree with us. Celtic fans disagree with celebrating something that's British. Let's say it, troops, British or English. The same goes with Scottish people. How can they celebrate something English and they're Scottish? I can remind you that and around it was before the Battle of Culloden, and the years after, and so around 1745, now 16 years after. So that's it was the abolition of the British government, the English government, British government, who abolished that wearing kilts. So you can imagine how Scots might have felt. It wasn't allowed troops to put a kilt. They have to put some scratch of the kilt on a tartan. So that's how I feel. You have to celebrate something which is not yours, by the way, which have different views about it. That's how I mean about this Remembrance Day. You have to celebrate it. You have to celebrate it because you're forced to do so. Maybe Celtic fans don't associate themselves with us, with something which is English, which is British. So they are proud they are Scottish, they are proud they are Irish. Some of them are Irish and have Irish roots. And they don't want to celebrate it, so you can't just criticize someone. You can't just criticize Celtic fans just because they were singing during that minute of silence. You can't criticize them, man. You can't just use that language of hatred. So as media, because that's sectarianism. That's sectarianism, troops. Offending someone because of its faith, its religion, its views, his views, his or her views, opinions. I think that that matter should be private. It should be private. You can't put something that politics and something which is private. You can't just put politics into sport, into football. Don't mix them. That's two separate matters. Football, politics. Politics is mucky. Politics is dirty. Once you stepped in, you can't just. There is no way out. But football, it's not mucky at all. It's emotions. It's craziness. It's a fucking love. It's pure craziness. It's pure crazy, pure mental. But it's great, man. It's pure brilliant. So let's stick to football and let this be private. So what I mentioned that is mentions that poppy. So that poppy has a narrow politicized meaning that to others, but It's a voluntary symbol of respect. Respect others' opinions. Respect Celtic opinions. Respect Celtic fans' opinions. Respect Celtic fans' views. Media, please. Some of you are just a pervert, sorry. So this poppy has narrow politicized meaning that it's just memoirs and voluntary, and then symbol of respect and also lost in conflict, the lost in life. The rightness or wrongness, I don't know, which is right, which is wrong, man, of using football match to make statement that its issue is complex, man, was undeniably reflection of broader debate of remembrance, place and sport. Sorry. So Guardian recently ran The Guardian. It's one of those papers I hate because they offend someone who has different views, different opinions than them in that paper. So the journalists, I don't get it. So there's a poppy history in British football. So capturing how this symbol intended of solemn reflection that instead become something, voluminous taste of patriotism. Over the past decades, the poppy has morphed for individual act, respecting the public declaration most universally troops, expects the players, managers and clubs the pressure to do the right thing, it where it comes largely for a right wing, so media figures whose campaigns push the idea of hesitation or dissent is tantamount of betrayal, You betrayed British, the Celtic fans. Is it no nonsense, troops? But I'm pissed off just now. That rips my in. How can you offend Celtic fans so as me, because I'm a Celtic fan as well. I'm a big Celtic fan. So I felt offended as well. But because, I don't get it. How can you offend someone because he's Irish or is Catholic? He's a Celtic fan, or doesn't he associate himself with that Remembrance Day or putting that fucking red poppy? It's not even. But it's no patriotism for Celtic fans. I mean, I think I'm proud of them. I'm fucking proud of them. So for myself and that. Let me tell you something that for players that strong personal cultural objections that the decision to wear the poppy can be a nightmare. So one of those journalists, Paul James McLean, name springs to mind immediately over the years, and then he's endured some of the most vicious treatment of the press of the fans simply because they opted not to wear the poppy. McLean, whose own family is a history deep with dairy and troubles, repeatedly faced insults, boos, and outright the hatred for sickening his beliefs troops. Rather than respecting his personal choice, the media often portrayed him as ungrateful, disloyal. His story highlights the struggle of many players who feel that unfortunately in his country, some ideal, keeping politics out of the game, keep politics out of football troops, because press and media they just play in that way. They disrespect your opinions. They disrespect your personal choice. They disrespect your they portray you as a ungrateful, disloyal person, not knowing you. It's just because you're a Celtic fan. That's because you're Irish or Scottish. It's not. It can't be that way, troops. It's sectarianism. It can't be that way. It's something wrong, You should have right to have your own views, have your own faith, have right to free speech, expressing your own opinions, your own rights. You have to know your rights. There can't be that way that someone can force you to do something or dictate how you have to live. It can't be that way. So you should be proud that you're a Celtic fan, because if you're Irish or Scottish. So you didn't betray anyone. Don't be fair, my dear Celtic fans. So that is how to say that. It's a kind of hypocrisy troops, And then isn't it? I'd say it's supposed in football governing, both are usually adamant about the desire to keep politics out of sport. They draw hard lines displayed that are divisive in clubs, and frequently in the UF5 they're found crossing these lines. So that comes to Remembrance Day, and then it's that certain political displays are not only tolerated but expected regardless of individual beliefs, man. Those governing the sport appear to have the no qualms about insisting the annual pagan poppies. And in moments of silence, reminding everyone where I should stand or no, politics is set aside, man. So, as I mentioned, I found info a wee while ago. Ironically, that's the being ironic. So, even the Royal British Legion has came forward to say they don't want the poppy to become a symbol that people feel forced to wear. See, it should be private matter. It should be private matter. You don't let anyone to force you to do something. Don't. And there's also a question of fans choosing the protest, the silences. So I tell you that, as I mentioned, that in Glasgow, where historical Irish Catholic lines remain part of the city's identity, the way staff is forcing us to view the result in that, should individuals be expected to participate in the act of remembrance and conflicts with their past life experiences with their families? Seriously, troops. To some of the answer is yes. But a simple sure in life soft spot. To others, it's unfair. Demand to honour an institution they feel has caused direct harm. It's a shite, troops. It's shite. So, perhaps it's time, I think, to step back and consider if annual poppycock has outlived its place in football. Would be so terrible to let players, clubs, and the fans choose how they wish to honour or not honour the occasion. Perhaps instead of criticising Celtic, because they criticise Celtic, and they, instead of criticising Celtic, people could consider the question as to whether the time has come to remove the forced display for the sport altogether and let Remembrance find its way back to what it was meant to be, a genuine act, a respect freely given. So you have the troops be, but I don't get it, troops. I don't get it. How it should be that. Something more about the Remembrance Day. I can tell you that hatred is dangerous. Offense is dangerous. So you can't just offend Celtic fans anymore. So media, stop criticizing Celtic. Stop criticizing Celtic fans just because they're Scottish, just because they're Irish, or because they have different views. That's because they don't respect that minute of silence at Remembrance Day. Don't stop doing this, media and press, especially the English ones, or favorable with other clubs. I mean, Protestant clubs, so it's Rangers. So stop criticizing Celtic. Focus on something else. Just get a rest, man. Get a rest. So sorry about that, but I'd love to say that once again, and some of us will, never be built into submission. Especially Celtic fans, especially when it's so clear now that it's no longer about respect, but it's about enforcing conformity, man. About bullying and intimidating people and clubs into two in the lane. The message for section of support is crystal clear on that. So, not in a name, but it was agreed with this guys on everything and absolutely with them on this one. It can't be that way, troops. It can't be that way. So please stop doing this. Stop offending Celtic just because they're Celtic, or Celtic fans, Celtic supporters. Just because that's how I love Brendan Rodgers and what he said once about media. There are three types of media, troops. The sporting press in Scotland is split into three camps. First one includes the honest journalists who, even though they have not the best of the jobs, to act with professionalism and integrity. And then there's a second group They're nakedly biased. These individuals are may try to disguise different, disguise put different disguise cloaks, different cloaks have different faces, but most of the time they are spending PR or defending their favoured clubs. They're comfortable pursuing, agendas and spreading lies and target rate people. These people align themselves, in clubs and they want to impress and basically serving two masters, neither of which is the leadership. So, but there is a third group as well, the worst of all, the groups of media, groups of journalists. These are clickbait merchants, the cut a piece hacks, and the Jason Blairs and Stephen Glass tapes who, if they can't find controversy, are perfectly happy, man, to invent it. They aren't critics, they're reflection writers, plagiarists, and trolls. So they stir up drama, seem to watch explode on this profession for clicks and views, or promote their own legends, man. I despise them. I despise them and the media culture they help create. So I despise troops. I despise the fucking media who criticize you because you're a Celtic fan. I despise those media who offend Celtic fans and Celtic. That's because they are Celtic fans, just because they're Irish, just because they're Scottish or something. That's because they sing patriotic songs. That's because they don't want to honour the British Remembrance Day. You betrayed us, sorry. So, what the hell is that, man? What the hell is that? Don't get it? I despise that hatred. I despise that I despise that, sectarianism between people. I just despise these divisions. I don't get it. I'm not going to associate with us troops. So that's how I joined Celtic. I'm going to mention it hundreds of times. That's how I chose Celtic. That's because Celtic is closer to my heart. Celtic is something I want to follow. Celtic has the very great roots, valuable roots. Celtic is for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, poor, rich, Irish, Scottish. Celtic doesn't matter. Doesn't matter troops. Catholic, Protestant, you may join Celtic. Celtic is for you. Celtic is open for everyone. Celtic takes you with open arms. Trust me. This is the only way, the only real, pure, honest, valuable club to join, to love, and to celebrate. So be grateful being a Celtic fan. Hope you too, as well. I'm here Celtic support, so fellow support. So I'm going to talk about trips. So I'd love to talk to you about Glasgow schemes. As I mentioned, last time I was talking about Glasgow. I started talking about Glasgow schemes, but I'm Glasgow social housing. The day, it's me, Glasgow genuinely. So look, troops. This is Glasgow schemes explained. It should be explained for you. So I'd love to that being explained for you. So, do you know what Glasgow scheme is? Can you answer my question? What Glasgow scheme is? So, I should tell you that the how Glasgow schemes look like. As I mentioned, a Glasgow scheme is it's an area outside Glasgow, but in the areas outside Glasgow, and it's a area outside Glasgow, of course, in the outskirts of Glasgow, and it was, that meant that Glasgow schemes were built outside the city centre, so people didn't have access to facilities, to different facilities, to shops, stores, to doctors, to the schools, for everything. So that's how these were deprived areas with poverty, deprivation, and the people were, poor in those areas. These schemes were built quickly, so you can imagine that there was no ventilation in these buildings. There's no running water sometimes. There was no proper toilet. There's no proper bathroom. Water was sometimes dirty. So It's just because the Waynes, I mean, the youth, they didn't have access to, to Glasgow, to, proper access to facilities, the schools, I mean. That's how they joined gangs. And that's how these areas, these Glasgow schemes became the areas soaking with crime and no-go zones. Maybe it's better the day. I can tell you that the day is better. But it wasn't once. While you just going through some of the areas today, you still see that poverty. But I mean, why crimes? Why gangs? People still asking, how's this Glasgow schemes? Gang culture was so spread, was so famous. It's a hard question, but I'd love to explain it to you. Glasgow, as you know, was based on gang culture. I know it's a hard topic, gang culture, but it's a darker side of Glasgow. You should know it as well. And you have to understand that Glasgow experienced hundreds of declines. Some of the declines on the poverty, deprivation as well, wars. Everything worse, troops. So you can't just judge Glasgow because of that. Because it was that way and it is that way. No. You can't do it, troops. But what was great in these Glasgow schemes, because of poverty, it doesn't matter, poverty, deprivation, it was a strong sense of community. Strong sense of community, troops. Alright, so let me tell you something about these Glasgow schemes. So in 1912, the prolonged municipal campaign, the territory of Glasgow was extended, and some 50%, I suppose, covered over almost 8% of hectares, nearly 30 square miles. So over 1 million inhabitants, Glasgow was now Britain's most populous city. So although ironically, it's still social status in that terms, that it's a physical stage, and it places Glasgow in enviable position of being the most congested in the North Metropolitan cities. Glasgow's acute overcrowding problems, as I mentioned, because they built these tenements, social tenements, the Glasgow schemes, so fast. That's how Glasgow acute overcrowding problems. It was social problems, social issues, Glasgow acute overcrowding problems, was overcrowding problems as well. Hundreds of diseases as well. So hundreds of people died because of that. Cholera, typhus outbreaks. We were inextricably bound up with a need for better housing. And then on the issue of the mass address to coalition government's immediate aftermath of the First World War and around groundbreaking legislation in 1919. So local authorities now and then are responsible for assessing the housing requirements and building, new homes in the estates, subsidised municipal schemes quickly emerge and develop ground in Glasgow, most substantial including Moss Park and the southwest of the city, Reddery, east, and the superior cottage and the dwellings now. So pretty stark traditional tenements was intended to serve showpiece in a healthier post-war city. Overall, it was estimated about 57,000 were necessary to relieve overcrowding, allow for a population growth in Glasgow. So yet, typically, this were caught in dilemma. So while almost 2,000 hectares were identified, the minimum required for building, so only 600 hectares were available for its purpose within the city. To help meet its targets, the cooperation, I should say, that utilised outside the boundaries. For instance, the first phase was a Knightswood housing scheme, and the northwest was a Barton in Glasgow, but predominantly neighbouring Dunbartonshire. So, cooperation representatives saw this unsatisfactory and created an administrative, and complication detached Glaswegians for a city's taxation base. So, So, for the corporation's perspective, the most logical solution would be a land shortage of further major boundary extension. Accordingly, plans were put forward in 1924 and then 1925 to have annexed almost 9,000 hectares, more than a double territory in 1912. So the Greater Glasgow Resurrecting Parade proved a controversial. So it also proposed added areas were established. The Person and the Bartonshire, Bishoprics, and the Lanarkshire and the Clarkston, the Gift no Renfrewshire. So there's several claiming that middle class districts are interest within Glasgow, and they essentially commit outgrowths, and they attract increasing numbers of residents, they say. So I have to mention to you, in 1935, Houston directly addressed the question of urban congestion and by requiring concerted action on the part of local authorities. As also defining tolerable standards of accommodation that and the Houston were conducted in Glasgow during 1935. So, 29% of city houses were overcrowded, compared with 23% of Scotland and 3.7%. The extension debate was less controversial than the 1920s. So, that's because the occupation made minimal effort to encroach upon the upper east. There was no objections that Antic was not from the Thorn Bank and the Renfrewshire and Western Dunbartonshire eventually excluded. And its boundary settlement, controversially, Drumchapel, a prey suburb in the north of Glasgow, and then reluctantly absorbed into a large city. Glasgow now extended with over 16,000 hectares. Congestion, there was 79 persons per hectare, So, the most extensive cluster of the land penetrated eastwards is, the historic district of Provenhall, Bishop's Lochs. Other eastern additions include the Cardoon, Garloch, Queensale, village of Easterhouse. There are bracing environments on St. Red's. Across cooperation plans for House, bidding a concerted construction program was commenced in 1945. The new troops, look, I have to show you something. Look, that's the one of the Glasgow schemes. That's how I call it that way, the area soaking with crime and no-go zones. Because that was Easterhouse once. It was the area where the highest crime toll, the highest crime incidents. It was no-go zone. It still has something, pure dangerous about it. Because Waynes, youth, they created gangs. That's because they wanted to do something to fill their spare time, because they had nothing better to do. Because they were living outside Glasgow, away from, education, away from facilities. Far, far away from Glasgow city centre, so they didn't have access to nothing. So they created street gangs. And some of them became dangerous gangs. And Glasgow schemes had something pure dangerous about them. It was these gangs created that circle. So if you found your way to that scheme, you didn't find your way out. This is because the gangs surrounded you. It was no way out because the gang scheme. That's how I called it. That area soaking with crime and no-go zones. I have to tell you something that, this is Easterhouse, and that's me, Glasgow, genuinely. Let me tell you my story. It's very my own story. So I left in a, I put off my con just now because I'm serious matter just now. Because, Easterhouse is far, far away from Glasgow. It's the east end of Glasgow, but it's on the very end. So I left Easterhouse once. So I can tell you that I still felt that kind of, something in the air, something pure dangerous, something unsettling situations. I had that unsettling moments, especially at night. But I couldn't just walk around. I couldn't just go out at night because I felt something may happen to me, you know. But still here, that feeling, you have that bad feeling that something may happen to you. That's because so once I lived in Easterhouse, so I still saw that poverty in some places. There are still many of them, I suppose, 100 so the Glasgow schemes, 100 so Easterhouse schemes were demolished, but some of them are still there. So I still saw that poverty. I still saw that social housing, social tenements. People still live in poverty. The previous government didn't just take care about it. They couldn't care less. S&P. Let's name things how they were. So they didn't take care about Glasgow, especially these outskirts areas of Glasgow, on the outskirts of Glasgow, I should mention that. So it's not just Easterhouse troops. It was at Drumchapel as well, Socken crime. No access to Glasgow as well, no city centre, Ballanarg, Pollok, Red Road. So I'm going to talk about it once, not once, but the new. So as you have to know that Easterhouse was once part of a big estate, you know, and there's an estate of the Glasgow city limits. So like Drumchapel, you know, Pollok and Castlemark, you know, it was a tenemental housing scheme. Not many people displaced as slum clearances. So Easterhouse is very cut off for the rest of the city. As I mentioned, it's at the very far end of Glasgow. So Easterhouse is just cut off for the rest of the city, cut off for Glasgow, cut off for everything. It was a murder trips. It was a murder travelling the bus around 40 minutes or more for Glasgow city centre to the place where I lived. And the other thing is that it was a pure hard to... I spent the whole day outside Easterhouse in the Glasgow city centre travelling around Glasgow, but I had to come back. So it was, that I felt weird there. I felt weird. One, it's history. So, and the connections with crime and the gang culture. So, but I don't recommend it. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone, the Easterhouse. It has some historical places, not the oldest house in Glasgow, and the after Provincialship, it's a Provan Hall, and the pure beautiful Auchinleigh Park. So, but there's no access. There's no access to basic facilities. It's far away from Glasgow, and for Glasgow city centre, I can't recommend it. So that's because it's pure hard to travel. It's hard access there. There's only 2 buses traveling there. So it's 61, supposing it's 41, but it doesn't matter. But so Easterhouse is cut off for Glasgow, as I mentioned. So it's 6 miles outside the city centre. It's far, far away. As you can see, it's going off the neighbouring district Garmalloch and the Ballystone, Auchinleigh Park, and they made respectively. It made motorway. So area's northwestern border is Leicester Fields, so north of Lancashire. So all the highlights how poorly planned this scheme was, even up built in 1954. The area quickly became undesirable, wasteland, and the flats and abandons. But there are away amenities, so the schools did open in 1960, and the population peaked to 56,000 people. There's no supermarket. It was in 1971, the 72, that Shundwick Shopping Centre was built. Easterhouse became notorious for its gang culture, with celebrities like Frankie Vaughan promoting knife amnesty. So, razor gangs, knife gangs came from Easterhouse. That's how Easterhouse is infamous. The area I wanted to talk about just now is Ballanarg, Pollok. It's again pure hard to talk about it because it's look. So Easterhouse, it's here. So this is a map of Glasgow. And the Easterhouse, look, it's here. So Easterhouse in the far end of Glasgow. So far end of the east side of Glasgow, East Glasgow. So that's far away. I want to talk about, Barlanark. It's an area in the east of Glasgow as well. East end of Glasgow, but it's Barlanark, Barmoch estate. It's not. Some of you may remember the Red Road flats and the housing schemes around. So it was an idea once, the developers, they just grasped an idea to build great, pure brilliant high flats. That's how the idea to build Red Road flats was born. So it was a utopian idea, because people living, they offered people who lived in Glasgow schemes, these housing schemes, these social tenements, they offered them a great flat, great gaff, and with a lavvy, toilet, a bathroom, running water, a bedroom, a kitchen, scullery, everything. Wow, they said, wow, that's something. So luxurious. So Red Road was kind of, luxurious for the people. So people living in Glasgow schemes, they remember how it was in social slums. So remember that life was pure hard as well. But that strong sense of community, that was something what kept these people together. So Red Roads, it's not we asked just now, because it was demolished. But it quickly became area. We had also crime incidents with the gangs as well. It became very mucky. It was, pure dangerous to go there. It was a kind of no-go zone for some of the people. But as you see, utopian idea was quickly demolished. 33 flares, I suppose. So it's great. High flats, very high flats. Because Glasgow once had an idea to build a high buildings, high flats, and then skyscrapers. I don't know, but it was, and then demolished them. Like that was weird, man. I don't know. I don't get it. Build something to then demolish it. So, but that was Glasgow at the time. That life seemed to be more. Seemed to be more luxurious than life in social tenements and social Glasgow schemes. So it's say Glasgow. So that was luxurious. Red Road was great for hundreds of people, but it quickly turned out to be not that great, not that pure brilliant as it seemed to be. So people were living a dream. So but as you can see, that Glasgow we knew, maybe hundreds of you remember that Glasgow, I don't know. But still, some of the Glasgow schemes around us, some Glasgow social, you may not see that strips. Some of you may have no idea that we are surrounded by these Glasgow schemes still. Social housing. Example is Easterhouse. Because I experienced that. It's my own. I built that thesis on my own experience. I based that view on my own experience, but we're still surrounded by poverty, and then I still think that this new government, is going to do something about it. All right, so let's talk about trips. Pollok is great. Pollok is also, it's an area soaking with crime and the no-go zones. But it's far better, It's pure magic, I think, Pollok. in Pollok, you can may find a Pollok Park, Great Pollok Park, via Maxwell Estate. So these are grounds were offered to the Glasgow City Council by the Maxwell's family. So because around 1735, the I suppose it was John Andrew Maxwell, he just owned the estate, the Pollok House. As private house, private property mansion, and then that was moved to his son. As far as I remember, his daughter of his Andrew Maxwell's son, Anne Maxwell, she offered around around 1780s that the grounds to the city council. So around the 1980s, the Glasgow City Council named this area, these grounds, Pollok Park. That's because Anne Maxwell, she sold some goods, her family heirlooms, some paintings, to the Glasgow City Council, and she offered the grounds, the hectares, these grounds. And then around 1980s, Glasgow City Council named the Pollok Park. So Pollok Park is a pure brilliant place. Trips via Highland Kiss. You may meet a Highland Kiss. I may have a kiss with them, with a Highland Kiss. They are so fluffy and so great now. And you have hundreds of magical, routes, walks now in the water. And then you have some magical woodlands. You have the barrels collection. You should see the ancient Glasgow as well. So I truly recommend it. But some people say that Pollok is still soaking the cream. But Pollok was once as well, the area soaking with cream. But I think it's not that way just now. Pollok is an area of Glasgow south side. It's a south side name now. It's one that's comprehensive redevelopment. So areas designated with Glasgow City Council in the 1950s and one of the big four, Houston. So estates during that era. So it's bordered by Priest Hill and to the south, Pollok Country Park, and then Corker Hill and Moss Park at the west, Cardonald to the north, with Crookston and Hurrid to the west. As I mentioned, Glasgow streets are safer, about like 60%. In my next video, I'm going to talk about Glasgow gangs. So Glasgow crime, Glasgow razor gangs, Glasgow pure dangerous gangs. So if you love the crime stories, you love the Glasgow gang culture, so better be prepared for this. And next time I'm going to talk about them. Plus I'm going to comment some match of Celtic. Next match of Celtic, because it's on Saturday. Right, trips. So, I'd love to finish about talking about Glasgow schemes just now, because now is Castlemilk. Castlemilk was in the area as well, far away from Glasgow, far away from city centre. So is Drumchapel. They were cut off, still cut off Glasgow, and they had no access to anything. That's how crime and gangs were so famous there. So popular. We no go zones with a feeling. No go, don't go, just go no do that trips. Stay home if you fancy your life, if you enjoy your life. So these areas, Castlemilk, Drumchapel, far away from Glasgow, facilities, no access to shops, no access to stores, to nothing. That's what I'd love to mention to you as well about the Castlemilk. So it's the Castlemism area as well. Castlemilk was one of the big four estates by Glasgow City Council in the 1950s. So in 1937, that was the Stuart's Castlemilk. So Northland sold the Ethnic Corporation American tenement. So Houston scheme 1953, with the first tenants moving in around 1955. Now, just the scheme was planned to accommodate around 40,000 people. For the slums of inner city Glasgow, during the 1960s, 9 tower blocks were added to the scheme at 3 locations: Mitchell Hill, Dougray Place, 30th, Bogany Terrace. Then something about Drumchapel. Drumchapel, you can still see Drumchapel as well. It still is, it was the area sucking crime gangs. It was pure sodman, pure dangerous now. You can still see the Glasgow schemes there, the poverty as well. Some buildings are in deteriorating states, are rotten. But Drumchapel is, anyway, Drumchapel is a large housing estate now, just in the northwestern outskirts of Glasgow, and it's bordered by Garden to the south of the towns, Bearsden and Clydebank, so the east, west now, and to the north is rural. Construction of Drum began in 1953, as I mentioned, that provide housing for some dwellers now, displaced now, some clearances of the inner city Glasgow. Housing was still built out at the end of the 1960s, and then with 3 tower blocks to Linkwood Crescent being one of the major projects of the area at its peak. It was a home for over 30,000 people. As I mentioned, very quickly, the estate the Drumchapel became unpopular and infamous. And comedian Billy Connolly, who grew up in Drumchapel, referred to it as a desert with windows. So as you can see, troops, that's how Glasgow schemes were a wee bit infamous and something with no-go areas, no-go zones. And that's how something called Glasgow Ice Cream Wars began. Do you know what that is? Glasgow Ice Cream Wars. It's just because these, Glasgow schemes were outside Glasgow, on the outskirts of Glasgow, right? With no stores, no shops, no basic products, no facilities. They had some vans, and these vans were delivering products. I mean, basic products, and some ice creams as well, wagers, to the people of these schemes. Right? So, but it wasn't, pure vicious business, vicious circle. That's because it once became a infamous business. That's how it's called, Glasgow Ice Cream Wars, because it's ice cream vans. It was something undercover job. That's because these vans were spreading drugs. I mean, drug dealers were spreading drugs all over these Glasgow schemes, especially at night. So it was one of the keys that one of the family was murdered. That's just because one man, he was intimidated hundreds of times by these drug dealers. Let me tell you about that. The criminals that terrorized Glasgow's ice cream van, the drivers in 70s, are examined in this respectful documentary. But 1984 arson attack that killed driver and his entire family. So let me reach this time in Glasgow in 1970s. When Glasgow slums were being cleared, but still there. They were still there, still are there. But tenements were demolished, and the inhabitants, I suppose, were relocated to purpose-built housing schemes on the outskirts of Glasgow. So I just conceive that over some people who learned absolutely nothing to previous overhauls undertaken. I recommend just the BBC documentary, The Ice Cream Wars. Two great episodes. So a bit scary, but you may have goosebumps as well. Thrills down your spine, but I recommend it anyway. So, and this void came in ice cream vans that actually sold everything from fish to cigarettes. And these ones sold general stores on wheels. They quickly became popular at profitable vans, and which made attracted the attention of criminal gangs. They added stolen goods, stolen products, troops, and the routes and drivers became targets of escalating territorial violence. There is a case of Andrew Doyle, and these criminal gangs were so much interested in him, and a special lucrative route ended in the murders of him and members of his family. In 1884, the arson attack killed them all, 2 in fire itself, and the 4 more, including the 18-month-old Wayne, a newborn. So that scared Glasgow off. Glasgow was intimidated by this, and so was Glaswegians. But the main suspects in this Doyle intimidation, the murders, were Thomas Campbell. But I don't think so. He was guilty, but the criminal with whom was affiliated, I think it was Tom McGraw. Eventually, police informants that Scottish law system had hundreds of laws. So I think they committed a mistake. It was a flaw, Scottish law, that Tom McGraw should be sentenced to murder his family. A vision of police informant William MacDonald Love claimed that his henchman and Joseph Steele were talking about they are going to teach Doyle a lesson in fire the flat. So the police found him up Doyle's block marking at TC home and he was arrested. Police claimed TC made a statement that affected only made the frightened for Doyle. Things went too far. Both men denied the charges and provided alibis for a convicted and given life sentences for the next 20 years. The complainant freed and their confession given the came that was not due, they were all written down. So I don't think that was McGraw who was responsible for that death, and they had the connections with criminal gangs as well. So I was scared about these trips. I was scared about this Glasgow ice cream wars, but that was something to watch, So don't be scared of, don't. Because I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to show you the criminal, darker face of Glasgow, of my Glasgow. Because my Glasgow has hundreds of faces, and I love them all. I don't discover them all, so I'm going to talk about to give us more crime stories. So better be prepared for this. Because if I find something about Glasgow, something new, I have to talk about it, I have to share with you. So that's how. Be prepared for more crime stories in my next video, plus Glasgow crime, maybe add some Glasgow gangs as well, Glasgow housing schemes as well, but most of all Glasgow gangs, plus something Celtic. So it's Glasgow Celtic next Saturday. Much commentary. So Christmas time troops. As you know. My Glasgow is preparing for Christmas, as you know. So look at this. Look at this, troops. Woo! It's great. So great. Look at that. My Glasgow is shining. So the Winterfest, suppose Winterfest is going to be here. It's just around the corner, just down the road. So Glasgow genuine is going to share with you. When did that happen? So Winterfest, get ready for a season of sparkles, Glasgow Christmas markets, and then bring festive cheer. Right. Festive cheer, right, and then moose-watering treats. The hero says this winter. Hold on your scarves, folks. Woo! They're Glasgow genuine and Glasgow's magical Christmas. Markets are making our much anticipated return this November, bringing festive fun, frolics right in our heart of the sea. So, if you've been dreaming of twinkling lights, the delicious treats, the thrilling rides, and then you're like, here's everything you need to know about Winterfest and in 2024 and where George Square is meeting up and transforming to Winter Wonderland. So the masterminds behind the Christmas celebrations are main events of below stops and then Winterfest 2024 are brimming with festive cheer for everyone. So running from November through January, there's plenty of time to get stuck in seasonal spirit. So Enoch Square kicks off festivals on November and into December. While George Square will come alive on 23rd of November. So keeping the Christmas magic going until 5th of January. So whether you're up to for cheeky wee milk wine or for dinner up in parades, Glasgow has you covered this festive season, man. So what's happening at the George Square? 8 meters dropped here, not for a faint-hearted, but through planning for Disney Kids, Booster Max Carousel, a flying that carousel spinning weekly, wave swinger a helter-skelter, so a magical ride for to enjoy, ice rink. Don't forget your skis, big wheel, soak up of Glasgow Beast, and a twinkling Christmas lights, and maybe slow, soon enough. St. Enoch Square Winter Hub, Star Airtram, Sorbo Glasgow and the festivals. Santa's runaway train, hop on the boat and get Christmassy adventure with Glasgow genuinely. But your traffic cones there and if you go to Glasgow, just enjoy Christmas. Santa's runaway train, a Grinch train. As you know, Grinch is a big fan of Glasgow. Kids carousel, a merry-go-round on the festival ones. So Winterfest, it will be unmissable fun, troops. So, whether you're looking for a perfect present or just want to soak in the festive atmosphere, Glasgow Winterfest 2024 is set to be a highlight of the season. Make sure to visit George Square Square to be part of unforgettable event filled with excitement, festive lights and plenty of seasonal delights. Winterfest schedule. So 9th of November up to the 29th of December 2024. Monday to Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. George Square Winter Hub, the 23rd November 2024 up to 5th of January. So you can 2025, not Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday, Sunday, 10 p.m. to 10 p.m. So here you go. Here we go again. Go to Glasgow again. So trips. I'm going to Glasgow. As you know, I'm going to Glasgow. I'm pure excited. I'm buzzing, man. Seriously, I'm buzzing, man. So I'm off to Glasgow on the 30th of December. And I'm going to celebrate New Year's Eve in my Glasgow. So, I'm first from Celtic soldier. So, got Glasgow genuine and Celtic dafty. Senius, hundreds of cases on. It's so fair, man. And telling you, bye my dear Celtic support and the Celtic fans there, and they wherever you are. So, see you next Sunday. Mwah. Have a pure brilliant evening, by the way.